Sarah stepped off the bus at Fifth Avenue, clutching a small, wrapped package to her chest. Her canvas jacket was faded at the elbows, and her backpack had seen better days, but her eyes held something that expensive clothes could never buy at 32. She had learned that wealth and worth were two different things entirely. Inside the cafe, Marcus Chen sat by the window, checking his watch for the third time at 38. The CEO of Chen Technologies was used to people arriving early to meet him. Everyone wanted something from him these days. His assistant had set up this blind date against his better judgment. He had almost canceled twice. Sarah pushed open the cafe door and looked around nervously. She spotted him immediately because he was the only person in the room who looked like he belonged on a magazine cover. Marcus looked up and his expression shifted slightly. She could read it in his eyes. The quiet assessment, the barely hidden disappointment. She had seen that look before, from men who judged a book by its cover. But she walked over anyway because her mother had taught her to finish what she started. "Hello, Marcus." She sat down across from him and placed the small package on the table between them. "Sarah." He extended his hand, and she shook it firmly. Her hands were warm despite the cold November air outside. "So tell me about yourself." His tone was polite but distant, the tone of someone already planning their exit strategy. Sarah smiled, the kind of smile that reached her eyes and made the corners crinkle. "I teach music to kids in the Riverside Community Center piano. Mostly, some guitar. It's not glamorous, but every Tuesday this 8-year-old named Jenny plays Moonlight Sonata and cries because she's never felt anything so beautiful." Before Marcus blinked, that was not the answer he expected. And the package. He gestured to the wrapped box. Oh, Sarah looked down at it. "This is for my landlord, Mr. Patterson. His wife died 3 months ago. Today would have been their 42nd anniversary. He mentioned once that she used to make him lemon cookies every year on this day. So I baked some. The same recipe. I found her daughter through Facebook, and she sent it to me." Marcus stared at her. Really stared at her for the first time. The cafe sounds faded into background noise. "You baked cookies for your elderly landlord?" Sarah nodded. "He reduced my rent last year when I had pneumonia and couldn't work for 6 weeks. He didn't have to do that. Some kindnesses you can't repay with money. You repay them by being the kind of person who notices when someone is drowning in grief." Marcus sat back in his chair. His coffee grew cold as she talked. She told him about her students, about the teenager who came to the center to escape his abusive home. How music gave him a language when words failed. She talked about her neighborhood, the Korean grocery owner who saved day-old bread for her, the woman upstairs who taught her to sew buttons when hers fell off. These small economies of kindness that held communities together when everything else fell apart. "You know what people don't tell you about being poor," Sarah said quietly. "They don't tell you that it teaches you what matters. When you can't buy your way out of problems, you learn to build relationships. Instead, you learn that showing up matters, that remembering matters, that a batch of lemon cookies can be worth more than gold when someone is grieving." Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest. For 15 years, he had built empires, accumulated wealth, surrounded himself with people who wanted pieces of him, and somehow he had forgotten what it felt like to be seen as just human. "Can I tell you something?" Marcus leaned forward. "My mother died when I was 9. My father raised me alone while working 2 jobs. On the anniversary of her death every year, he would sit in the dark and play her favorite record, Billie Holiday. I used to think he was being weak, holding on to the past. Now I run a company worth hundreds of millions, and I can't remember the last time I let myself feel anything real. Sarah reached across the table. Her hand hovered over his for just a moment before settling gently on top. Grief isn't weakness. Marcus, it's proof that love existed. Your father knew that. He was teaching you something important. He just looked at their hands. This woman with her worn jacket and second-hand backpack understood something that had eluded him for decades. The waitress came by. Sarah ordered tea. The cheapest thing on the menu. Marcus ordered for both of them the full afternoon menu, not to impress her, but because for the first time in years, he wanted a conversation to last. They talked for 3 hours, about life and loss, and the small moments that string together to make a life meaningful. Marcus told her about the pressure of expectations, how success had isolated him behind walls of wealth. Sarah told him about choosing purpose over profit, how some nights she ate pasta for dinner 5 days straight, but still slept well because her days meant something. When the check came, Marcus paid without thinking. Sarah didn't protest, but she looked him in the eye and said, "Thank you, and let me return the kindness someday, not with money but with something that matters." He walked her to the bus stop. The evening air had turned crisp. Before she left, she handed him a small card. "My number and an invitation. Come to the community center next Tuesday at 4. Hear what joy sounds like when Jenny plays Moonlight Sonata. See what your money could never buy." Marcus took the card. He showed up that Tuesday, and the next, and the one after that. 6 months later, he redirected a significant portion of his wealth into arts programs for underserved communities, not for tax breaks, but because a woman in a faded jacket had shown him that the greatest return on investment was measured in changed lives. 2 years after that cafe meeting, Marcus and Sarah got married in that same community center. Jenny played piano at their wedding. Mr. Patterson walked Sarah down the aisle, and when Marcus looked at his bride, he saw everything he had ever needed, not despite her worn clothes and simple life, but because she had taught him the difference between having everything and being rich. The gift she carried that day wasn't in the wrapped package. It was in how she moved through the world, leaving people better than she found them. And that was worth more than all his millions combined. Some people arrive looking like they have nothing, but carry everything that matters inside them. The ones who see that, those are the ones who truly understand wealth. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below, telling me about a time when someone saw your true value beyond appearances. Your story might inspire someone who needs to hear it today.